Hey guys, we just reached T15 maps, and in this video I want to showcase what this build has accomplished so far. A full build guide will be coming for those interested, and if you'd like to see my progress, check out my previous video on this build. This build is a well-balanced mapper, it's tanky, it has fast gear speeds, it's relatively cheap, and it features a unique playstyle. Now if you have played ED Contagion before in PoE 1, you'll find the gameplay quite similar. However, this build is much better at single target damage, have AoE CC, and I feel like the playstyle is much cooler. Here are my current passive points on the Atlas tree. Basically, I choose overnodes that help me sustain and progress my Atlas faster. I also picked Deadly Evolution here, and I'll be choosing and showcasing my first two T15 maps with old mechanics to demonstrate just how capable this build is in mapping. Additionally, I will share some tips on how I progress and sustain my maps later in this video, as it's actually quite simple and straightforward in PoE 2. As you can see here, I'll be juicing my map with the Exalted Orb, adding all the possible map modifiers. I've been doing this since tier 11s, and basically I have not died a single time due to getting one-shotted. I do die due to my own mistakes, but we won't talk about that. Alright, as you can see here, in the first map we actually get one of the worst modifiers, which is monster had increased Ailment threshold. What this means is that we can't freeze a monster, and that is like 80% of our damage gone. But I'll still do it anyway to show that we are capable of clearing the map. Very quickly, I'll show you that Galvanic Shards, which is our frozen skills, literally does nothing here. You will blind a monster, but that's it. The human build up will be too slow for us, and monster will likely die before that, so just for this map in particular, our build become an one-button build, which is kinda nice. If you don't know, tier 15 is the highest map tier in the game and have some of the deadliest monsters that can easily one-shot many builds. In the late game, evasion is actually more effective than armor because it's capable of dodging the bigger hits, right? So the bigger the hit is, the less effective armor becomes. So anyway, that's why I've decided to not use Eye Reflex in my build and still keeping the armor and evasion shout, as it is very good. I'll spare you the trouble because this map is not that good and doesn't highlight what I want to show. So the second map is much better, featuring Bridge, Rituals, and Burning Ground with Monster Critical Strike. However, we can freeze monster here, so it's a trade-off that's pretty good. So yeah, this is tier 15 maps with the max amount of modifiers that you can have. The most annoying one is probably the Burning Ground, so I have to kind of navigate around it, which is going to slow down the map a little bit, but we have really good sustain, so that shouldn't be a problem. The main source of sustain that I have is the Vitality Aura, which regenerates 1% of life per second for me, and I also have Cannibalism, which give me 4% life recover on kill. I think I also have about 3 or 4% of life recover on kill on the Jewel, so yeah, that's a lot of sustains. As you can see, my main skills that I use throughout the map will be Galvanic Shards for trash clear. I basically just spray at the enemy when until I see a Contagion or until I see a frozen enemy, then I will switch to Fragmentation round to pop them. With the way Contagion works, if you manage to fire a Ray monster surrounded by many little monsters, you can easily one-shot them, just like that. Yep. So yeah, that was a rare monster in tier 15 maps, just getting destroyed. So yeah, like I mentioned, we are quite tanky as well, but you still need to play smart. This build is by no means a face tanker build, and we don't have a shield equipped as well, so yeah, you still need to play smart. This build specializes in clearing like a big pack of mobs that stay really close to each other, so our poisons can proliferate between the monsters. Also the Contagions, right? Mechanics like Bridge or Rituals is actually very good for this build for that particular reason. Yeah, so you'll see in a few seconds here, we'll do our first Ritual, and you'll see that our poisons can chain from monster to monster and as they keep spawning in the ritual, so it's actually really fun interactions, and Let's make this build really cool in my opinions. The goal in a ritual is to first fire all the galvanic shards, try to fish for a frozen monster, and then you can pop that monster. Then your poison will just proliferate between all the monsters and kill all of them, right? And then you can kill the rest of the monster. Well, I kind of have to be careful here because my chaos rest is not capped, so I could actually easily die from one of these peoples. Also, as you can see here, our map sustain is pretty good, and yep, that's one of the secrets to sustain your maps. You need to do your maps with the lick mechanics. For the lick mechanics, I'll say Bridge or Ritual is very good on this build, Expedition is fine, and yeah, so this build just kind of do everything. So you can see here, this rare is very tanky. It's chaos resistant, crit resistant, so we don't do much damage to it. So for normal clearing, just galvanic shard and fragmentation round is fine, and sometimes just fragmentation round is fine. If you do run into a big packs and like with high density, you want to use galvanic shard to freeze enemy until you see contagions and then try to pop it. And in this ritual here, as you can see, the contagions keep spreading as there are more monsters spawning, so it's actually very, very good. And ritual in this game is actually quite dangerous compared to PoE 1. So there are many builds that struggle with ritual. But I feel like our build is one of the builds that can easily do ritual. The playstyle of the build is very unique in that if there are high density on the map, like the more monster density you have, the better it is for this build. Yeah, as you can see here, try to group up the monster and then do one big pop, right? Some people ask me if this build is possible to play on the Witch Hunter, which I think it's definitely can. But if you're playing on a Witch Hunter, it's definitely much harder to do attributes, to spread your attributes, at least for cast on crit and many other spells that require high int, right? You most likely gonna have to either go with the lower versions of the gems, or you're going to have to try different setups. But Contagions alone is just that's why make this build so unique. And yeah, so I feel like Gemling Legionnaires is the best class, and right now I don't have any proper Witch Hunter setup, but you definitely can try it in a different setup. Explodey is very strong and arguably even stronger than Contagions, right? Now, some people also ask me, is this build clunky to play? And yeah, you can see for yourself on the screens right here. I feel like the playstyle is really good. It's kind of fun. You just run around shooting galvanic shards. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Freeze monster, pop, pop, right. And yeah, let's see the bridge clear here. We do have a lot of AoE clear, and yeah, a bit laggy here. Basically, you fish for frozen mobs and then you pop it. And then look at the contagion, it's going to spread across all these monsters. And you also see that sometimes when I get stuck in tricky situations, I pull out the blink as well. Yeah. Our weapons definitely need an upgrade. I haven't changed the weapons. The weapons the same as my previous videos from the early campaign. So it's definitely something I could improve there. Yeah, overall, look at the clear, very good. We keep moving, and contagion spread's amazing. The bridge could be more dense. Bridge is better on some map, right? This map is not bad. On the map with open layout, if you can fish for really high density and kite the mobs really close to each other, this build definitely is capable of clear the whole screen with on button, which is very satisfying to play. And I've done that before, just not in this showcase, right? Alright, so I think that's a pretty good showcase, and I'll skip forward to the rest of the ritual and the killing of the ram monster to save you time. And the map in PoE 2 is just way different from PoE 1. It's way too big, and there are a lot of backtracking involved, so you really, in some of these showcases, you just can't do the map under like 5 minutes, right? But anyway, here's another ritual where Contagion is doing the work, right? And yep, I'll just blink out that. Really good setup. If you're interested in the blink setup, definitely check out my previous video. I kind of show you how to do it. When comparing this build to another popular build like the gas grenades, I'll say this build have less screen clutter. You can clearly see what's going on, and the pop is just really satisfying. Obviously, it's my build, so I'm biased, but I tried the gas grenade before, much earlier into the games, but I don't really like it because it's there's too much going on the screens. Yeah, for people that have trouble freezing the monster, definitely it's either a problem with your DPS, with the crossbow damage, or maybe it's the map modifiers. So yeah, you can see I have no problem freezing even Ray Monster here on T15. Right, you want to run maps that doesn't have the ailment threshold. Monster doesn't have increased ailment threshold. You want to run map where monster doesn't have the increased elemental resistance. Those two mods are the one that kind of break the build because you can't freeze the monster. But again, as I showcased before, you can clear the map still with just one button play, with fragmentation round and high velocity round. So yeah, I thought this is a pretty good showcase for our gear level that we basically just got to T15 maps, and that was a pretty good clear. But yeah, that's the map. And this is my third Ascendancy trial, and I just want to quickly show you the boss fight. We got here really easy. As you can see, I did not lose any honor at all. And if we can land this bleed, yep, okay, yep, that's like half of the boss HP right there from bleeding. So HBR, high velocity round is really good. In our current setup, we have a high velocity round linked with scatter shots, and if you're fighting 3 shots, one of these shots can actually aggravate the bleeding from the previous shot. And if it's the first shot which consumes the ammo break, it will deal a lot of damage, as you can see. This build is definitely capable of clearing the Sanctum with no problem. The main issues people have with Sanctum is not taking enough blessing that give you damage, right? And damage is king in Sanctum, really. You don't have problem with survivability, and I honestly did not know what this boss does, and if we just one-shot it, then it's fine, right? So yeah, that was the third Ascendancy Sanctum boss fight. And for the third point, I grabbed Crystalline Potentials, very good notes that increase our damage by at least 10 to 15%. I'll quickly explain the change I made to the build to make this build become viable in the endgame mapping. First of all, one of the most significant damage upgrade you can buy is Wristlet the Coil. This build provides a substantial increase to both our bleeding and poison damage, as they are based on your physical hit. When it comes to rolling for the bells or buying them, aim for a maximum physical attack damage to be as close to 40% as you can, and that should be your priorities. The minimum physical attack damage is less important, but 30% is the best value, so you can work from there depending on your budget. When I purchased this, it's cost around 60 to 70 exalt, but I expect the price to rise as more players will recognize how good this belt actually is. That said, a rare belt will probably work just as good, so consider the Wristlet Coil to be an endgame upgrade to strive for. In addition, I bought a different pair of gloves that have very high armor value, which allow me to take full advantage of the general binding and leather-bound gauntlet notes. This is the latest improvement to my defense, bringing my armor to 49% and my evasion to 67%. If I remove this glove here, you will see that my evasion rating dropped significantly, almost by 2000 rating. So yeah, the ammo glove, general bindings, and leather bound gauntlets are really good. I get these questions a lot, so I'd like to clarify it here that if you want to utilize and run all the auras that I'm currently running, you need a total of 95 spirits from your years. Spirit is a limited stats that can only be found on body armors, amulets, and the Venter unique ring. So when you are searching for the items on the trading site, that looks for those that offer the stats. The stats can also show up as implicit on both armor and amulet, so you can search for it as well. This is what the query looks like on the trading site. As I previously mentioned, my gear isn't anything extraordinary, and the main focus should be on capping your elemental and chaos resistance. I'll quickly go over all my gear again for your reference. Also the jewel as well, and remember that the passive trees, all the relevant stats will be in the endgame Mobalytics setup that I will link in the description of this video. Alright, so for the gem setup, this is what I have decided to go with, and I really like this setup. One important thing to note is that you should put quality on all of your gems, and it's definitely make a huge difference. For example here, galvanic shots with 20% quality and 12% more from our Ascendancy means that we load 3 more bolts per reload, and combine that with ammo conservations mean that we are able to shoot a lot more bolts before having to reload. The setup have not changed too much from the last video, with me adding only ammo conservations to galvanic shots and half to high velocity shots. Now for the passive skill trees, I'll show you what I changed since the last video and why. With the additional gems quality and Support Link, galvanic shots actually feels good enough to play with more attack speed, so I have spec'd out of this Falcon Dive node here. This is something I'll look to annoyed, or is it distilled later when I have the currency. As previously mentioned, I'll take some general biting and lethal bound gauntlets node here with the extra points. Very good defensive nodes. I saved some points up here by spec out of the bleed nodes and spec into backup lanes for extra defense. Now what I realized pushing into red tier map is that I think it's a fight of attritions, as you need more defense rather than damage, and we don't really lack damage as well. My next goal will be to grab the beef node here, and then I'll path into Blade Catcher as well to give us basically crit immune to pretty much anything in the games. We also have this node here to protect us from crit damage as well, so that's pretty good. Again, the tree will be available on the Mobalytics link as well, so definitely check it out if you're higher than my level. For the Atlas progressions, if you want good mass sustain and progress fast just like me, or just drop higher tier maps in general, you want to take the notes that I'm taking. The pathing will be in the guide as well. Basically, we want higher tier waystone to drop more frequently, so we path into this area first. Then we grab the precursor influence to get more tablets to drops, and we use those tablets on any towers that you have cleared no matter what. This will put more leak mechanics on the map, and doing them will also give you back tablets, and also have a good chance to drop more waystones. Next, you should be pathing down here, and again taking these waystone higher tier drops will be more important because we want them to drop in higher tier, not dropping more. I also like to take Deadly Evolution early because it's mech Grand Monster and boss drop. Much better loots, and you don't have to spec in here first if your build is weak, but yeah. So the next one will be Constant Crossroad and Lucky Pillage. They are good nodes to text next because that's probably where you are in red tier maps already, and you want more waystone to drops as they're higher tier now. For the last few points, I'll take Twin Threads first and then Bountiful Bloodlines to finish my Atlas. And that is the generic mapping Atlas tree. So for the strategies that I'm using, mostly I'll just focus on reaching the tower first and clearing them using the lower tier map to avoid wasting your resource. After clearing the towers, I'll use a precursor tablet to enhance the map surrounding it. And once that's done, I will insert the higher tier maps and complete them. I recommend using your best map for boss map because bosses in PoE 2 drops a substantial amount of loots, and that will ensure a good returns on your map investment. Additionally, try your best not to die during mapping because losing your map and all the mechanics in the map can be really costly. So if you are working on the map to progress, make sure to kill all the red monster first, and then the map can be counted toward your possessions. And after that, you can backtrack to complete the league mechanics, and even if you die, the map will still count to your progress. Anyway, that's about it for the updates. A full build guide will be coming shortly after this video. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment down below if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next video.